now to the interesting part. Our next talk by Rick and Wesley is about apparently the dark hackers have, or in the meantime, moved into SaaS service platforms, and they are going to tell us about Adversary-in-the-Middle attack, service kits, panels, and sellers. So, Rick and Wesley.
Thank you. Thank you for joining our talk. And we would like today talk about Adversary-in-the-Middle, which is also sometimes called Attacker-in-the-Middle. It depends on the company. And we have been researching the panels and the people behind it, the sellers, and we would like to share those insights with you. Well, a small introduction. We are founders of Zolder and Attic, two cybersecurity companies, and we have mainly been pen testing about 15 years. But nowadays we are well, developing a product which allows companies to protect their Microsoft 365 environment. So we are doing a lot of research and well, defense. Our goal with that development is to improve IT security for a very large group. So we are creating a product which is able to protect your Microsoft 365 cloud. And we are not targeting to keep away the nation states. We just want you to fix the basic stuff, the basic settings within your Microsoft tenant, keep them fixed and do that on a scale. And then we can have a big impact on the security of just regular companies. Well, one of those problems we see at Microsoft nowadays, and also in other clouds, is that well, we all have multi-factor authentication nowadays. We did a lot of effort to get that working, so that everybody implemented multi-factor authentication. But now there's one problem. The attackers found out adversary-in-the-middle attacks, which allows them to bypass MFA, at least the most of them. For example, an SMS code, a text code, the authenticator push, a passwordless push. It can all be bypassed, well, with AiTM. So what is AiTM? Well, the concept is pretty simple. On the left, you'll see the victim. The victim will visit the phishing page, the AiTM page. And the AiTM page will forward every request to Microsoft, the real login page. So it's like a proxy between the victim and Microsoft. Only a few small modifications are necessary to make this work. And all that the attacker is doing, he is capturing passwords or cookies at the right time out of the response, and then he is able to well, use your password or your cookies. And if they have your cookies, he's able to bypass MFA. Here's a demo video which will show you the AiTM attack in real life. This is well, some software we developed ourselves in Cloudflare. As you can see, the victim logs in, a push notification is sent, and then the victim is redirected. And the username and password will be sent to Teams in this case, and the cookie as well. Well, the attacker takes the cookie, loads it into the browser, and then he's logged in as the victim. So it's, well, pretty easy concept and very effective. Here you can see that the attacker loads the cookie in his own browser, and after then refreshing, and he's logged in as the victim. Well, a little bit of history. Time ago, it was easy to do phishing because you only had to fish username and password, just email and password, which was easy. You could do it on scale because you could just send emails or text messages to victims, and if they log in, you have the credentials. Well, but with MFA, that doesn't work anymore, of course. And in around 2080, we have been investigated Dutch banking fraud. And the panel that was used a lot within that fraud is uadmin, which is shown here. On the left, you see the victim, which is a ING banking well, login page. And on the right, you see the admin panel that is seen by the cybercriminal. And the interesting part here is that if you log in as a victim into the ING page, this will bleep and also well, flash. And then the cybercriminal knows that the username and password was filled in by a victim. Then he goes manually to the ING website, logs in with those credentials. He will get a response and will send it back to the victim again to take him to the next step to do the same trick again. This also works to bypass MFA, but well, the attacker needs to go to the real website, log in. It's not really scalable because he needs to be behind his computer as well. And that's why AiTM is interesting. About 2018 as well, there was an open source project published for the first time, which is called EvilProxy. And this allows you to perform AiTM attacks, which was already possible in 2018, but at that time not really popular yet. And also it wasn't really necessary yet because there wasn't that much MFA.
So we were seeing a huge increase in the number of attacks and a number of reporting on the issue as well. And we were wondering why now? The technology has been there for quite a while now, so we didn't really understand. And we figured out that why now? Now because you can just rent a panel where you don't actually have to know anything. With EvilProxy you have to like run a VPS, configure the DNS, which is trivial but too hard for most low-level criminals. Well, another reason, before this you could just like phish old school. There was, or brute force old school. There's more and more MFA now, which is good. And that's maybe the most important thing, this brings back scalability into phishing. So where you could just send like 1,000 emails and go to bed, next morning you have like a list of usernames and passwords to try. Nowadays you have to like manually sit there and copy and paste everything. With the AiTM automation, you can have that again. They actually have toolkits where if they retrieve cookies, they have tooling that keeps the cookie, like uses the cookie constantly to keep it alive. So you could even like go to bed again, which, well, if you're a criminal, might be good. And the most important reason maybe is that it just works. It works great. And the criminals, we noticed that once a simple trick works, they just keep going until it doesn't anymore. They don't do a lot of innovation, we've noticed. So to give you like a overview, it's like every couple of months there's a new article about like some incident or a new provider targeting, and like Google and Microsoft are actively warning. And then if you start looking into URL scan, I'm not sure if you're aware of URL scan. It's like Shodan, but for phishing sites. So you can go on an URL scan Safari, like you could go on Shodan Safari, which is quite fun actually. And we did that, and we just, like for a couple of, this is for 2 different SaaS providers, we figured out how to find them on URL scan. And then you notice that like every couple of hours a new website is being spun up to do this type of attack. So that also shows you a bit of the scale. And these are just 2 providers, and there's like maybe 12 or something like that. And then you also have the people that spin up their own infra. So it's quite a big problem nowadays. Another company that has had some issues with AiTM is Booking. I'm not sure if you're aware, but you had the scams where they hack hotels and then use the bookings to contact the end user to phish them. So I looked into how do they even hack the Booking.com account of hotels. Well, turns out they're spinning up lots and lots of different lookalike sites that use the Booking login infra for hotel employees. And then they target those employees, and then they have an automated process to extract all the bookings and all the information. So this is what a site would look like. It looks like just like the actual booking site, obviously. And we actually were lucky. My colleague booked a hotel, and he got phished, or not. Well, he didn't fall for it, but he actually received the thing. So. He got like a WhatsApp message. Sometimes they use the Booking.com app itself to send you, which makes it even more legit. And well, the hotel is like correct, and if he clicks on the link, the price is also correct. So they have the info. It's just like the link is kind of bad. I mean, it's info.phpt, whatever. And then we were like, okay, so what kind of cool stuff are they doing? Because the front end of this whole scam is quite innovative and interesting to look at. And in the end, it gets quite boring. It's credit card fraud again. So too bad for me, actually. So a bit about the actors.
Yeah. So we are especially interested in the actors and what kind of frameworks are available and are being used. So we dive into this by getting intelligence and getting smarter and smarter and finding new panels. And we are trying to find out how it works and how it's implemented. One of the examples is EvilProxy. I think this is the most, the nicest technical implementation. It's fully dockerized. It's using a lot of proxy between a VPS that you order yourself and its own infrastructure.
And also, it's old. He's been offering his services since 2022. And he's still not caught or blocked in any way.
Yeah, and you can see, what kind of services could be phished. So Microsoft, iCloud, Dropbox. And you have to pay about $250 and you will get access for a few weeks. And there are some interesting at the bottom because it's the Python repository for packages. So it's also offering pages to phish that, which is quite interesting because if you can phish a developer and if you can manipulate the packages, that would be, an interesting attack factor. This is an example of one of the providers. And the interesting part of this provider is that, he requires you to order your own VPS, which is quite, you have to be a little bit technical at least. But it's quite smart to use this because he's proxying every request to your own VPS. So there's just only some proxy software on your VPS. And that will proxy you to the EvilProxy infrastructure. The good thing here is that if there's any notice and takedown, so if your attack is detected, they will take down your proxy VPS and not his real infrastructure. At the same time, he is not disclosing any source code at the proxy VPS. This is all stored at his own infrastructure. So he's also not disclosing how it exactly works.
Which is quite important, actually, because we've seen in the Dutch phishing scene where people hand out their own banking phishing panels, like Rick's panel, and I sell that to you, and then you replace Rick with your name, and you sell it for 10 euros less. And we've seen it where the prices crash, but now EvilProxy keeps control of his entire infra. So I made this. Okay, just I made this, and Wesley made this, and he thinks this is way better. I would like you to raise your hands. Is this better? There's, okay, and now? Oh crap, it's in the middle. Okay, well, fuck you. So, I made this. I'm amazed by it. The thing is, he's done quite a good job actually. So you have the renter VPS. It doesn't have anything. It's proxies on proxies, which is quite cool. The victim is there. If he logs in, he actually loads the phishing page from the infrastructure of EvilProxy, which gets proxies through you, but you don't actually get the code, so you can't do anything with it. Every sign-in also happens through your own VPS. So anything related to law enforcement goes to you, while he keeps his infra up, which is cool. And also makes sense because he's been doing this since 2022. I think it's hard for them to figure out where he is and how to take down the infra. You can manage the whole infra via his C2 panel, but that's on Tor. There's just one thingy there, and if you look, adding domains is like a WebSocket thingy, and that's all of a sudden Cloudflare IPs coming into your VPS. So that might be interesting if you want to do some more investigation into this. Raccoon.
Raccoon is also a really interesting one because we saw that this was fully hosted on Cloudflare. Maybe you know it, that Cloudflare offers workers, which are serverless functions. You can just upload some code and Cloudflare will run it for you and you don't have to manage anything. And the interesting thing is that Raccoon built his AiTM panel within Cloudflare workers only. The interesting part is that he doesn't have to manage any infrastructure. So he just uploads code to Cloudflare. Cloudflare will host it, and that's it. He sends the link to the buyer, and it will work. We are not sure yet, but we also detected during our research some, actors that were using workers.dev domains. So we were like, how easy or how are they working? But it's hard because we cannot obtain the source code because it's just within the Cloudflare account of those criminals. So we decided, okay, let's just try and build it ourselves in the Cloudflare worker to see how easy it is or how hard it is. And we were able to build it in a few hours, so it was pretty easy. It was about 170 lines of code. But we also published this on GitHub, so it may be even possible that this guy is using our code with a small modification to do the phishing
if you look at the error responses, they look quite similar to what we did, so we might have created more of a problem there.
Yeah, but at least he built some emailing functionality into it. Here you can see an example. Well, it's pretty easy. You can just create a Cloudflare account for free, and you can upload the source code, then deploy, and then the phishing page is running. So this is what that guy is doing. Probably he's changing an email address in the top in the variables. And then you can just send a link to the buyer, and if it goes down, he probably just spins a new one. So that's, yeah.
This is quite an interesting approach because he doesn't have to actually host anything. He doesn't even have to pay anything, but he does get like 300 euros a month for the panel. And if your goes down, he asks for more money because he has to like set it up again. So he just creates a new Cloudflare account, free, and adds pastes in this code, and then it's done.
Yeah, but also for leaving traces, because you can just use a VPN, create a new account, log in, spin the code, and that's it. So, yeah.
It's smart.
Yeah.
Just one more thing about the Raccoon. He also doesn't even have a panel or anything to manage this. He just sends emails to you. So you get an email like, hey, here's a cookie of a Microsoft account. Is it the attachment or in the text field?
I think it was in the mail.
So you have to like copy it out of the email. So it's literally an email with a cookie in it, which I found funny. So another actor that came up recently is the Mamba 2FA, and similar pricing. Only this one does like a bit more upsell, so you can like rent premium panels or premium pages to be honest. And he has his own mailer where you can like make sure the email always comes. It's fully undetected. It's like for 50 extra you can get it. Usually it's like a redirect via Google or something like that, like an open redirect in a public service, so it doesn't get detected immediately as phishing. And if you look at the way you manage this panel, you do it entirely via a Telegram bot. So you can just say like, I want a L1, which is like a generate Office 360 fully undetected link, which is extra good. And then you get like a phishing link, then you can send to your victims. And then with CP, you get like a list of all the clicks or no clicks in this case. And then once you get visitors and they log in, you get notifications and it sends you the password. And in the end, it sends you like the cookies, in this case, in a text file. So you can download those, put them into your own browser, and sign in as the actual user.
This is cool.
No. Yeah, this is just, okay, cool. What we noticed that all of a sudden we were testing, and then we looked at the sign-ins, and in our sign-in logs, we usually see like, oh, Cloudflare signing in, or VPS provider X is signing in. And with Mamba, which was pretty cool, we saw sign-ins of like IPs at T-Mobile or Ziggo, like the customer lines. So we were like, how does the proxying of this whole thing works? So we ended up figuring out that they're using IP Royal, or actually, we figured this out via the Sequoia guys. And IP Royal is like they provide proxies, and to be very clear, they provide ethical proxies. And these ethical proxies allow you to make it seem that your traffic is coming out of home lines instead of like the like the VPS provider lines, which makes the sign-ins a bit harder to detect. And then we looked a bit further, and then we figured out that IP Royal has like an app. It's called the Pawns app. And if you, as as a young person that needs a bit of money, wants some money, you can download the Pawns app and earn up to like 100 per game offer or per survey, and they have all these text there. And I don't know if they actually do this, so I don't know if the app has like the actual surveys to fill in. What it also is a proxy. So you are now making a proxy out of your phone, which is awesome, because if you're a criminal and you want to hide your signage, you just go to like Susie's Android garbage device, which makes the sign-ins a bit or way harder to detect. So this whole proxying stuff is like built into Mamba, which is like, it comes with the package. If you want something like this in EvilProxy, you have to set it up, but it has all the features in there to set up like a very complex proxying stuff. But we thought this was pretty cool, and one of the, maybe not the most technical solution, but a very cool solution anyway. So, well, another actor, Tycoon, which is funny. We initially thought that Tycoon got rebranded into Raccoon. I mean, it's Coon twice, so that's where our OSINT stopped. But what we noticed was that Tycoon had this like public channel, you could buy services, and all of a sudden, all the Tycoon channels were like Raccoon channels. And later we learned through somebody else that said like, no, they're two separate entities. They just quit with their public outreach, and it got taken over by Raccoon. So they're like gone, but they're not actually gone. If you look at the wallets, if you look at the Bitcoin wallets, you can see like money coming in like regularly, and it's always like the 200-300 a month. So you know it's like for these kinds of services. So what we did was we reached out through old channels and figured out that yes, the services are still available. It's just for people in the know, instead of like having a public thing, which the public thing makes it harder to stay hidden. So this is what the panel looks like. You can like set up a domain. The PDF domain is like a blurry PDF. You have to sign in through Microsoft to look at the blurry, the actual PDF, stuff like that. So he has a bit more fancy lures. But to be honest, the best thing is to just hit them immediately with like the Microsoft login page, because people just expect it. And if it behaves like the actual page does, you're fine. And I already mentioned the money. So we've been tracking the Bitcoin and USD Tether wallets. And currently he's up like 1.4 mil, depends on the Bitcoin price. This was I checked it a couple of weeks ago, or like a week ago. And this morning, Bitcoin was better, so he's richer now. If he doesn't spend it at all, obviously. Yeah, so much for the Tycoon actor. While we were investigating this, we constantly get hit with the Cloudflare turnstile thing. It's so bad, actually, that usually when I see the turnstile, I assume that whatever's behind it is an actual phishing site. So we've had like an issue where we detected like new phishing sites, but we were too late, and then Cloudflare is in front of it. So we've had a time where we just assumed that if the domain, or like if it's found in a certain place, and then you see Cloudflare, you already know like, oh, this is phishing. So you don't actually have to see what's behind it. You just know by looking at the bot protection.
The interesting stuff with this Cloudflare anti-robot is that it's called Cloudflare Turnstile, and you don't have to do anything. You don't have to select images or something. It's just magically recognizing, okay, you're not a robot, just continue. So it's perfect for well, this type of cybercrime cases. Cool. Well, and of course, we are also interested in how to prevent it, to protect our customers and well, everybody that's using Microsoft 365. And actually, it's pretty hard. It is possible within Microsoft 365, for example, but it does require licenses. For example, you can use, and it's also the best solution, phishing-resistant MFA. The downside is that it's, well, in my opinion, it's not user-friendly. Because it doesn't work yet really well. So I think if that improves, that's the best solution. But for now, it's still hard. Another way to do it is to implement device compliancy within your Microsoft 365 tenant. Then only compliant devices are allowed to log in within your tenant. And if you don't, well, the phishing site is not compliant, so he's not able to log in. Well, there are new like token protection and access evaluation. These are two protections that are not really supported, well, in the full cloud. So just limit amount of apps, which is also, well, not perfect yet. An interesting part is that, as you can see, all those advanced, well, security protections, which are required to protect you against AiTM, are, well, in the business model because you require Entra ID P1 or P2, which is, well, pretty interesting because I think it should be in the basic version as well. We also try to, well, develop our own detection mechanism. Well, at the same time of this project, we were working on Resemble, which was a website which allows you to, well, detect copies of your own website. And the concept is pretty simple. You just put some code within your real website, and whenever this code is loaded from a fake website, you will get an alert as an administrator, website administrator. And one of our colleagues, Eric, was like, okay, can we use this implementation also at Microsoft? And he was like, okay, Microsoft offers the custom branding CSS setting. Can we use this? And the Resemble technique to, well, allow us to detect AiTM. And that was a pretty good one because we immediately tried this, of course. And yes, we were able to log in or detect fake logins on the, well, on an AiTM page. So in this example, we protected one tenant and a login AiTM.tag domain was used on the phishing domain. The downside is you don't know which user, but you know that somebody is at least attempted to be phished on your tenant. We shared this technique, I think, a year ago already, I think longer. And the cool thing was we did it in a blog, and the community also picked it up really, really well. And they also, well, implemented even further techniques to not only prevent or detect the attack, but also to prevent it. Because we are in the CSS settings of the Microsoft login page, we are also able to show another image. So, for example, in this case, if there's if the employee is on a fake phishing page, this background is well changed. So, well, at least now with this red field, we hope the people don't log in. But we cannot disable the password field, so that's...
And you would assume that this would prevent users from filling out their password. We've already had cases where people were like, it was hard to fill out, but it worked. I got it done, which is awesome to hear.
And you can also turn this technique around, because you can, of course, also show a verification logo whenever your Microsoft login page is the real one. So if it's fake, the logo is not shown. I mean, it's real, it's shown in the top right. And this is interesting because not all phishing panels will load the CSS code. So if this logo is not shown, then, well, it is a phishing page. At the beginning, we were expecting not really much detection because we didn't know how big is AiTM. But we were pretty surprised because we developed the technique. We also implemented it into our customers' tenants. And well, in the first month, we had about 100 tenants running. And we had about 162 AiTM detections and mitigations at that time. So, well, we were quite surprised by the skill these attacks were performed on. Because, well, we still thought that Evil Jinx wasn't really used, well, a lot yet. And after 50 months, well, we have about 500 tenants and over 2,000 detections. So it's, well, a lot of AiTM phishing. You can also see, based on different company sizes, that the detections are different. And we also found out that sometimes also Microsoft sandboxes were checking specific links, and that also triggered our detection system. So that was like free intelligence for our own research. This is a screenshot of the database of our service, and as you can see that the same phishing domain pops up at different customers at the same time. So then you can just assume that it's a phishing mail that's sent to all over the world, and then well, they are just checking what can we catch, who will fill.
Yeah, so it really allows for scalability again. So where you had to you don't have to sit there. You can just let the mechanism phish the people and then later collect the cookies.
Yeah. And of course, when developing such a technique, it is like, okay, but how are the false positives? Because it's easy to find the technique, but usually it's also hard to have one without false positives. So we had a functionality within our backend to whitelist some domain names. So for example, the login.microsoft, task.office.com, those are real domains which also loaded our CSS. So we are filtering those out. And well, then the detection technique is really reliable. It's like, well, 100% is a real phishing attack and a hit. So that was good. And lucky, maybe. Well, but sometimes the criminals just don't load the CSS. This is an example. This is some PHP panel. I don't know which one, but this panel is just loading the logo over here and the background image, and the rest is just dropped. So if you have any other CSS, it just doesn't load at all, and it only shows the logo and the background, which I do understand, because that's mainly what some company will modify in their login screen. Yeah, and like I said, we published our detection technique, and we saw also that the SaaS providers, well, were filtering out our detection technique. So they just read our blogs, updated our panel to drop our detection, well, to stop being detected or mitigated, which was good and bad. It was fun.
I mean, they read our blog. It's good.
Yeah. Yeah, but our detection wasn't working that well anymore, on them at least.
You can figure it out.
Yeah,
you're a big boy.
That's true. That's true. We figured it out and found a bypass again, so which we won't share.
Because then we have to find another bypass, which is a lot of work. So, yeah, in conclusion, AiTM reintroduces scalability, so allowing you to fish at scale again. It's easy and accessible now because of the SaaS providers, which allow you to just rent it. You don't have to have any technical skill, which for the criminals is good, and for us it's pretty bad. And there are also lots of free open source projects nowadays, if you are a bit technical. And these SaaS providers keep popping up. I mean, you can see there's like every couple of months there's a new one. And it makes sense, because if you look at the Tycoon revenue, I think that's like 2 years, so it's like 750K a year to just like host a couple of like websites, essentially. I mean, there's risk attached, obviously, but 750K a year is still good. So, yeah, that's for that. And I think in the future, we will see an increase of these techniques used. Initially, it was used where the end goal was very clear. So it's very easy, like I spent 300 euros a month for this panel, but then I get access to like M365 business accounts, so I can do back fraud and do like the email stuff with like, oh no, we have a different account number now, please send the money here, stuff like that. So then it's very clear what you're going to earn. Nowadays, we already see, like this is a AiTM phishing page for live.com, which is the free mail. So there's an argument to be made, like private person's email is less easy to translate the phishing to money. So making the investment a bit, it's an investment for such a low gain. So the price goes down. That's why we're seeing these types of targets. You can also see, if you look at the forums, that there's lots of interest in more generic reverse proxies, where you don't have to like buy the Microsoft one and the Google one. They just want one tool, and well, there's an ask, so there will be someone that builds it. There have been some. There's been one that does like VNC in the browser, which is pretty funny. They actually, you think you're logging into like a website, but you're logging into a website on someone else's computer running VNC. But that's generic, because you can just open any website and let them log in. And then the moment you sign in, they just drop the connection, and then, yeah, well, they got the cookie. I mean, they're logged into, you're literally on their browser. So these questions will allow them to, like, don't have to like pay for more. So the problem will increase. And for the past 2 years now, we've been yelling that bank phishing will make use of this tool to automate some part of the bank phishing. I mean, you have those QR codes you have to scan. Nowadays, they do like a screenshot, upload it to the phishing panel, send it to the victim. And that's why banks nowadays refresh those QR codes sometimes. So if you automate that process, you don't actually have to worry about it. You can just, when it refreshes, you upload the new one, which makes perfect sense. But and we've been yelling for 2 years now that this will happen. It hasn't happened yet. So I'm starting to doubt myself here. Currently, there's no like awesome one-hit wonder to fix this. I personally think that passkeys are good, and the passkey implementation for lots of websites is good. The Microsoft implementation is a bit meh, and is not like super user-friendly, but I do think for all your sysadmins, just enforce it. And also, if you develop websites yourself, think about how you will enforce them after they're configured. There's been phishing attacks on GitHub accounts where the developer enabled passkeys, so no more AiTM, right? So then the AiTM panel proxy just stripped out any like JavaScript related to passkeys. So the page defaulted back to like username, password, and like the old school MFA. And because the backend wasn't configured correctly to deny the traditional sign-in, they could just sign in with like username, password, and MFA token, even though the dev just configured passkeys as the only way of signing in. So yeah, if you build web apps, think about this. For anyone managing M365, yeah, do consider enforcing phishing MFA for admins. And for regular users, just like switch to passkeys anytime an app asks you. They're a bit like messy because where is the damn thing? Is it on my phone? Is it on MacBook 1, MacBook 2, or is it in the password manager? But it is very easy to sign in. So it is very user-friendly, I think. So much for a presentation. Does anyone have any questions?
So, thank you. And questions? Okay, there's already one at the mic.
Hey, thank you for the presentation. Are such solutions already existing for Gen AI or AI tools, for example, Copilot?
Yeah. Sorry?
Are such tools already existing, maybe not SaaS yet, but I don't know, open source packages that you can download and play with?
Yeah.
For phishing in using Copilot, for example, sending an email.
I don't know. I think there's probably ways of sending email with Copilot, but I haven't really. I've not tried.
So essentially, you send an email to someone, you know, to their company email, and then if the message has certain information that will be read by Copilot, because that's what Copilot does.
To detect.
Yeah.
Oh, like that. I think you could do that. I'm guessing it will be resource intensive, but we have had tests where we just throw like entire conversations, like email conversations. Like, is there some phishing in here? And not Copilot, but another LLM. And it was pretty good at like, it's here. The thing is like, who has the kind of money to burn, to just put, you get a lot of emails. You get, maybe only if there's a link or something. You could probably, it's an interesting question.
Yeah, the potential is there. That's what I'm wondering.
Definitely. Who has the GPUs? That's
okay.
Thanks. Yes.
So you mentioned passkeys, right, as a mechanism to avoid this attack.
Yeah.
Would another second factor, a hardware second factor,
FIDO.
also work?
FIDO. Yeah.
Right.
Like YubiKeys are great, and they're great for like sysadmins. I wouldn't suggest them for end users, but if you use FIDO keys.
Yeah. And sometimes you also see with certain proprietors that you can specify a phrase that gets displayed on the page. Is that also, does that work in this case? Because they proxy the actual page.
They proxy all the text. So if you add like select the images with bicycles,
there are sometimes certain crypto also say from specify a security phrase which get added to all the emails, but also the login pages. But that won't work in this case.
It will get proxied. But Fido keys you can't do anything with that, or I can't at least. Maybe somebody.
More questions?
Cool.
Okay. Not yet? Yeah, I think your point about configuration is really important because at least, I read the news a couple of weeks ago that passkeys were broken, and basically it was, if you configure your passkey provider wrong so that it does not actually check the address that's sent on, or it falls back to something else, then it's broken because the other factor can get spoofed.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks so much.
Okay, thanks to Rick and Wesley.